he's raising an important question, you know, and it comes up all the time to all of us, going through school, doing graduate work. How do we really play the piano? Yeah. And sometimes people come, you know, in the middle. I have somebody now, you know, finishing their doctorate and not being able to play. The question is why? And the question is also, how do we sit? You know, what is the right height? Most people don't think that has anything to do with anything. But if you see somebody carrying pads with them, you know that they're doing the Taubman way. Because they know that the chair has to be at the right height to make it possible to move as a unit. And then the question is, what is unit? What is coordination? So let's start with what your questions are.
Yeah, since I have been working...
Can you hear? Okay.
Well, I have been working for, I feel for myself at least, with many years with this approach through the DVDs. I'm self-taught based on that. And to make a short story, if I didn't discover those DVDs, I think I might have quitted the piano actually, because it really changed everything. And I was like, you always could play everything, but in the end of my master's studies, I started to ask questions. How do you really play one key? You know, and in the end, I found out I couldn't even repeat the chords. You know, and I had to go to an audition, and I had to fake the passage. I think, you know, as a professional, you can't. I mean, you have to be able to play certain passages if you're going to be professional. So, and then I found this work, and I saw one excerpt on YouTube, and immediately resonated. This is exactly what I need. And then I started working on it. So where I am now, I feel I have a lot of knowledge. Everything you said, I have heard it, but I don't know if I'm doing it. And I want to start start somewhere and to see where am I, and do I know how to play the scales? Can we start with that? And arpeggios, I know I have troubles with.
What did you have symptoms, or it was more just tightness and insecurity? Insecurity is also a sign of something. We should not be insecure.
Yeah, I could definitely have the situations and the difficult passages you practice over and over and manage them, but not knowing if I knew them.
Or not knowing if you can count on it.
We count on it, exactly.
Well, that was one of Taubman's questions, basic questions. I mean, it's not like she knew that there was something out there. It is like, why can't we count? You know, and as a teacher, why do I get young people coming with pain? It's not that they did it after years. The fourth finger feeling weak, you know, feeling in pain. So questions that we take, you know, for granted, that's how it is. But she was a very good pianist. Why am I practicing and practicing and practicing, and I still can't count on the outcome? And what am I being told? Practice more.
Yeah.
And that's what we do, you know, practice and practice. And if I didn't find this work, I would have left music too.
Interesting.
And I was finishing I probably would have gone on to the doctorate. I was a Juilliard, and maybe not. You know, I heard about her when I was, my roommate that was interested. My roommate had a much more, I would say, scientific type of a mind. Both her parents were scientists, and to her something made sense, what she heard from other people, and she decided to try it. And I completely stayed away, because playing the piano was about music, and I was going, I'm a musician. It has nothing to do with anything. So I was not convinced very quickly. Yes?
I just have to write from by the cable, but it's broken, so I need to change it. So we need a few moments more.
Okay, so when do you think you will have it?
30 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Whenever you can bring it,
all right.
Wonderful.
Right.
People can see better.
That's sure.
Okay, thank you. So we either continue with the slavery, or you know, we decide to do something more useful, or you know, we discover that there is a way to do this. So why don't we go and see?
Absolutely, about symptoms. I don't know if it has to do with my piano playing or not, but it very well might be. Every now and then it comes and goes. Some pain here. But it comes now. Actually, now I have it a little bit, but it can go on for a few days, 3 days, but then it could be basically half a year almost without, So I don't know if it's because of the playing or if I slept bad or something like that, but probably has combination.
Probably, and it could be also that sometimes without knowing you're doing things better,
Yeah.
and sometimes without knowing something.
Yeah, usually it's dressed paired with a lot of repertoire, then you can go on.
It's the left side. It's the left
It's
hand.
always here actually, but
Yeah, it's the left hand.
I don't have pain in the hand or
You don't have anything there. It could also come, I mean, you can have a problem in one hand and it will show up, on the other side also. So let's just see.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were talking about how to play one note. Do you still have a question about that?
Yeah, I mean, scales and arpeggios, I
Okay.
think it's a good way to start.
Okay.
And I have the feeling that the rotation and these kind of things needs to be at the right situation in order for everything else to work really good, and I'm not certain if it's where it's supposed to be.
Okay, so start exactly with what you want
I could play like a C major scale, for
Okay.
instance, and
Okay.
how that is.
It looks good, except the last fifth finger.
Yes, exactly.
But the question is what you feel underneath, because I don't see the rotation, and the rotation may be there. Do you want me to check? Do you want to make it a little bit bigger?
Absolutely.
Okay, like how did you work it in?
Well, I started like this. There is this in and outs, and ups and downs, which I kind of know.
The fourth also goes a little bit out.
Exactly, that's
On white keys. So every time you go, you have a white key before the thumb crossing. It's a little bit out. Now the fourth finger is already a shorter finger than the three, so you're moving out on the two. Why do we move out? Because the thumb plays where it plays, and if we told that the fingers cannot curl because immediately there is, tension, we can't twist around, it means that we have the rotation. What is being moved out is this mechanism. And by the way, when we talk about this mechanism, this is the active mechanism in playing. Because some of the questions and the criticism that comes is, how can you separate it from the body? So my answer is, I was told in my studies that the back plays the piano, the stomach plays the piano. This is one of the best. They do not play the piano. Okay? What plays the piano is exactly what you see. Fingers go down. And the question so this is the part where these are the leaders. Now what you see also is that the upper arm is moving. So there is the whole school of the upper arm movement. The thing about the upper arm is, as you heard, it doesn't move quickly. What we need to know about muscles, which are the quick ones and which are not the quick ones. The forearm is the only one. I mean, we know that fingers can't do these things alone. They're very light. They're very light. They don't have much weight, and they're connected. I mean, when you go to pick up a pencil, like that, you don't move with the fingers. The whole thing is moving. So the question is, am I moving from here or not? It's not visually, you don't see, These are the parts that can move very quickly. The upper arm follows, which is very different from being an initiator. The body has to follow as well, the torso. When we move left or we move right, it always has to be in place to accommodate the main parts for playing. That's the whole issue. So when you see movements, there is movement, but it's movement as axis, being in a place that this can always feel connected. Because if you play like that, we don't, away, we're going to get tired. So the body has huge role, but in a very small way, and in a very, it doesn't initiate the movement. We don't move the body to play. It's not going to do anything. And it has to be actually in a very precise place for these parts to feel active.
Are the fingers supposed to, in the end, just do start? I mean, if you play, you have
Well, when you get, okay, so let's do the rotation. This is what I'm going to check. Is this free like that?
Perfect.
Totally free.
Oh no, I'm not sure. No.
Okay,
it's
so that's
quiet.
Okay, it's like nothing.
It's quiet.
Okay, and also let it come down. Yeah, is it free when you're coming down?
It might have potential to be a little bit freer.
It might have potential. That means it's not totally free.
Well, yeah.
It does have the potential.
Yeah.
Everybody has the potential. So that's what I do that, just because it's very light, that doesn't mean you need all that movement for one key, but it has to feel that free. Okay, so when you go next to the thumb, even just to the thumb, yeah. I'm just looking at the height of the chair. Are you comfortable?
Yeah.
Is it too high? Where do you normally sit?
If some things, I'm wondering if it's a little bit too high.
Yes, it may be a little bit too high. Just stand up. I think that it's it's going down. So you do a little bit just to see. Now, what does it mean? You know, he wants to be in a place where it doesn't feel like he's holding up, and you don't want to be too low where the weight of the forearm goes back. So I always ask people, do you feel that the forearm is right there behind the fingers?
I think so, yeah.
And if the body is like that, we see people, you know, playing like that, it's pulling you away from the piano, so the fingers get very active. But there's no sound. How's that? You go a little bit too much, you're a little bit in the way.
Yeah.
It's too much.
In the way now.
So sometimes you can try a little bit, when there's no teacher around, try a little bit too much and see where is it. But this mechanism has to be as free as when you go to pick up something. Yeah, so the question, when we talk about being one piece, the word rigidity really comes into it, the questions, but wouldn't that be tight? No, there's a way for the body to be, that's how it's free. Yeah. Okay, are you good now?
Yep.
It is round. Okay, so now when you go to the forearm, yeah, that's free. That's free. And then the finger will get there and will not play. Right, how's that? And now make it a little bit smaller. Is it as free? Yeah. In other words, the only thing for big is just to experience this. If you can feel it as free smaller, you make it immediately smaller. How's that?
It's quite good.
Okay, you don't have to be an alien. You want to feel what it's like to land. Yeah. And for the thumb, make sure that the thumb doesn't change its shape. Yeah. A little bit, it's like that. If you go a little bit more, it's already curled. So the difference between what is good and what is less good could be a thin, thin, thin line.
And that's so amazing.
And that's what's so amazing. Exactly.
Yeah.
Very good. This is good.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know that this is a...
I can say like this, I know this feeling. I'm wondering
how to go in that direction.
Well, I know in theory, but this is completely free. And when you play with all the fingers, it's harder to play up or
when you
like
go
this than just like this. This is the easiest thing.
Okay, so anytime you go like this, it's good, right? Okay. Because at the beginning, you know, when you feel rotation, going toward the body feels a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Now, when we go in the other direction, let me just show. It might be a little bit low, but I'm going to change it. You know, when you turn and you exaggerate it, this is what it looks like. But it's not this. It's just turning a little bit. I'll do it with you. Another thing to watch when you do the rotation is to make sure you're not pushing on the finger that you're standing on. Okay. That is done and finished. The next action is from the finger and the forearm. Yeah, let's try it. Let's start from the second finger. Okay, is this good?
Not as good as with the thumb.
Okay, so because you're working.
Yeah.
All you have to do is come down and stop. That's all. For example, did you come from a low wrist previously?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or a low seating at least.
The sitting was a little bit too low.
So
yeah, so when you come down, you just
wrist,
stop. The wrist was down. So you just stop where it feels. The wrist always has to be in a place that feels that the head and the forearm are connected. That's it.
Yeah, that's better.
That's better. And no pushing on the bottom, yeah. So that little support, yeah. And there is no afterlife. When you hit the key down, there's no relaxation, there's no tension, there's no holding. It does it. It's the same as you take a step. There's nothing else that you can do. And then the next step.
And this is this a feeling that you're supposed to have when you're playing the
Absolutely.
Yeah, then this is definitely something to work on.
This is something, yeah, but what you have to work is not hard work. It's very easy work. You just come in, yeah. Yeah. There's nothing to do. Just come down, stop here, make sure that, I don't know if you come for relaxation. Some people come and the knuckles go down. The only thing it is going down is this thing as a whole. That's it. That's it. And the key plays how much? That's it. Because sometimes we're thinking we're told to play to here, we're told to play to here. You know something? We play to here. This is the floor. This is the floor of the key. It doesn't go any further. You can push all you want. You get into trouble. Nothing is going to happen. It's like pushing on the floor here. Only you're going to get tense because the floor is the floor. So this is your floor. That's it. That's as far as it goes. How's that?
It's interesting. I know when I play the pieces, I have a little bit more pressure.
That's right.
It's not like...
And that's already a Genesis 4 tension.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're doing something and you're doing it after sound has been made. So it makes no sense, right? I mean, sound has been made on the way down to the key. That's where we have to aim. By the time we get down, the job is over. So we have to go down, that's the end of it. And it should not be also a push, because that immediately tenses the fingers and the arm going to the next finger, going to the next chord or whatever. So the moment we generate, by not knowing what's going on, we are already in tension. So the whole issue is, what are the reasons for tension, what to avoid, and what to put in its place. Okay, so just easy, nothing, right. And I just want to try something. When you land, if you landed a little bit higher, would it be better or too high? I just want to test it. Is that better or is that too high?
You know, I have more support.
You have more support. So that's one of the things that I check. In other words, stopping a little bit higher.
It only feels now that my elbow is low.
It feels that the elbow is low
When
now?
I'm doing this, but maybe that's just because I'm not used to it.
Let's just try it because
now it didn't feel like it. And
okay, so I check that because it doesn't look the same on every human being. In other words, some people look a little bit flatter, and some people look a little bit higher. So what I check is, you know, if they feel, if there's the right support, how's that?
It's definitely good.
So it's a little bit higher than what he did, and that feels more connected. Does it feel that if this is too low, because then we go up?
You know, it might be a little bit.
Okay.
Not sure.
Let's see if that's...
But it's also a completely new position, so maybe that's the one.
Well, just, it should feel that everything is there.
This is actually better.
This is better. So the sitting is very, very central, but the sitting can only be right if it's related to what you're trying to do here. How's that?
It feels perfect.
Okay. So, okay. And it feels as free as that? And not heavy. Not heavy. The word weight immediately goes heavy. It's like this.
Yeah,
It's not, we don't need the whole butt or the whole forearm. Just enough to make it easy. How's that? That's it. Okay, now without pushing, turn and go to the 3. Right. How's that? And don't relax at the end of it. How's that? You want to play fast, there's no time for several actions, there's time for only one action. You know? That's, how's that?
It feels that I'm
Not completely, just stop here. Okay. Now turn and feel the elbow also is being turned. Yeah, but go with the idea that you're going back. Yeah. In other words, the preparatory motion is not to stay in the air. The preparatory motion is in order to get you there.
I might be a little bit too much on.
Why don't you look here? Don't worry about your fingers, do it again. No, stop here for a moment. Right. No pushing on the bottom. It's finished, there's nothing to do. Now turn from here. How's that?
Okay.
Can be even freer?
It can be freer.
Okay. Look all the way back here. So one other thing that I would check is the upper arm tense. Is the upper arm tense? Like if you just sit like that, is there anything there?
I don't feel it's tense.
Okay, good. When you're turning your forearm, can you just feel that there's like an inner action? We don't move, you know, that it just comes along, but make sure that when you're turning, there's not that there's a response in the upper arm. It may be a little bit tight when you turn. But I wanted to look here completely. Is the elbow tight?
It's a little bit tight.
Okay, make sure that the elbow is allowed to move. How's that? But you still, I think that you're still falling off a little bit. Make sure that you're the right height. Right. Just turn and go. Don't think about the fingers. No fingers right now. You're still working too hard. Look. Let the forearm turn and let the forearm bring you back. Right. How's that?
I feel I'm doing more from here.
Yes. Better?
Better.
Yes. But is it really a turn or is it kind of a movement to the side? It has to be a
The
turn.
feeling is that I'm not sure if I'm able to turn enough.
Allow the elbow to come. This is when I allowed, let it right now move as much as it needs to feel free.
Then it will be like this.
Okay, right, that's the reason. How's that?
Now it's free because it was on tension when I go that way, and now it goes all the way.
Now, so this is why we have to make something a little bit too big at the beginning. But it has to be done very, very carefully because it can get too much activity in the upper arm just to get the freedom, and then we make it smaller, but not yet. Make sure that the thumb also is not tight. So I want you not to think about the fingers right now, okay? Just turn, allow the elbow as you turn and play. Okay, could you not lift the fingers so high? Just let them move to the side, not up to the side. completely from here. Do it again.
Yeah, now it's freer.
And make sure that it comes back. Yeah. Right. Did you come from relaxation also? Was there a relaxation?
I might have done things to try to relax. Yeah, nobody told me to relax.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I mean, I could have been like this, yeah.
No, I just want to know. You don't have to, Right, but come down with the forearm. Right. Yeah. Now look at it here and just make sure the elbow is very free. Turn and go. That's all. And when you get there, make sure the second finger is released over. How's that?
It is released.
Okay. Good. How's that? But keep looking here.
This is actually freer.
This is freer. The reason to look here is because this is such a new thing. It's like discovering a new part of the body. That's really what it is. It's been there, but it's been kind of dead and tight.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the looking helps do it, but we have to be very careful. That's why an experienced teacher has to do it, because it can go also too far.
I think I did both too much and too far, and back and forth all the time.
Back and forth
Because
all
there was
the time,
too
yeah.
much fingers, too little fingers, everything.
Yeah. Yeah, so what to do, so I don't want to think about the fingers, because you came from a lot of fingers,
Absolutely.
right? Yeah. So right now, we
Only fingers, I think.
only fingers. So we activate that, then I watch in time. There will not be time here, but as people put it in, integrate, then I see if the fingers die a little too much, or it's just the right, because it's a proportion of finger and forearm. Without going 3 to 4, go from 2 to 4. It's the same thing, but don't look here. But I want you completely to think completely from the forearm. And are you worried about missing?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so I don't want you to worry about missing, and if you miss, you miss, but you don't want to miss, okay? Because that creates a preparation already. Make sure also that the thumb doesn't fall down. The thumb has to be like that. Yeah. So when you come down on the 2, that's where it stops. You don't hold it, but it's not, falling. I don't know if it is a little bit, but right.
Yeah, actually, if I don't do anything, it comes a little bit here. I need to hold it.
No, don't hold it. Turn your forearm. You see where it is? Turn it back and don't change it. That's where it has to be. There's nothing to do, just keep it there. Right. How's that?
That's a new feeling.
That's a new feeling. So where the thumb is very, very crucial. We can't hold it up, we can't let it down, and it can be very, very little. That's why I found that just turning it this way, it will feel, in the right place. You turn back and you keep it in the same place. And that's, if there's a little bit of tension in the thumb, there's going to be a little tension in everything else he's doing. How's that? That's why all those details turn out to be so important. Okay, but check each time that also the wrist is in the right place. Right, ready to move. Now just turn, look only here, and if you miss, it's on me.
To the floor?
Yeah, go to the floor. Same way as you want to. Everybody, it's playing, and the rest of the fingers. It's like walking, You release, right, to move. How's that? And the fifth should feel together with the fourth. Okay, but every time you go to the thumb, you can't just go like that. You have to go, with the four. The same. Yeah, every time is the first time. Every time is the first time. Because if you play one finger and it's just a finger, you're not going to be connected to do the next one. Good. Look here. And feel that you're turning from here, all the way, from here. Yeah, go ahead. How's that?
It's still not completely coordinated.
Could you play the fourth finger by yourself? How's that? That's how you land, but not
Maybe
flat.
a little bit
Maybe too much. If you do, it's okay. And the third, I want very close to the fourth. Do it again, just that. Does that feel strong or still weak?
No, it feels very strong now.
Okay, so that's why the fingers have to be like that. Because you can think all the things that I'm saying, if the third is a little bit away, the fifth is a little bit curled, the fourth is not going to be strong, even when I tell you to connect. So the neighbors are just as important, what they're doing, and where they are. Okay, let's do it again. Okay, wait. You have to think everything the first time.
I'm a little bit low on this,
Yeah,
as an instinct. I should be more like here.
you should be where you feel that you are on the piano and not falling off.
Absolutely.
Not even a little. How's that?
Much better.
Much better. Okay, so if you're not like that, all the things we're talking about are not going to work. That's the thing. Everything depends on everything else, you know. It's like the universe. There's nothing that works by itself. Why the piano, we figure that everything is working in isolation. There's no isolation in the universe. You know, everything is dependent on everything else, whether it's a society, you know, growing the agriculture, anything, the body, machines. It's not parts, it's parts that are together. These are parts that work together. So if one thing is off, everything else is off.
That's what I feel in those details like this.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, that's the whole basis.
Yeah, this
you
is
know?
what I mean.
And on that basis, okay, good. So let's do. So you have to think everything.
Yeah.
Remember what I said? There's a knowing, and there is the process of reminding oneself until it becomes a habit, and then you don't have to think about it because the body has changed, you know, the behavior. Okay, so come down, and you're going to start a little bit higher. How's that? Where you feel connected, and there's no pushing. The thumb is in the right place, right? But feel the forearm puts it down. Right now, feel the forearm puts the key down. How's that?
Yeah, that's good.
It's good. Yeah. And then you just turn, allow to look here, just like you turn and go back. But everybody has to move. You have to move to how you did it by itself. Wait, did you play it? You have to realize that I'm going to repeat it again and again, because, but you have to learn to play it. Because you know what happens if you don't do the two right, you're wasting your time going to the three or the four.
I know. That's exactly what
It's all like that. Good. And you don't put it down. There's gravity. This is how I'm going to help you. Let gravity just that's how it works. It doesn't work, I'm going down. That's not going to be free. I'm going down. Yes. That's it. And that's how this works. How's that?
That feels different.
That feels different.
Very good.
Yeah. So, you know, when people think it's just you do this and all of that, that's not just you doing this. You have to do it in a very specific way, and you have to know also with instruction how you minimize it, because it doesn't work in the end by itself. It's a basis. It works in unity, like the in and out, you know, and shaping and other things, and it becomes a unified feeling. You know, it becomes unified, one experience made up of all those things. And that's how you begin to go into music. You don't, each time you do everything. You begin to apply like a little gene. Okay, that's what you have to do here, that's what you have to do here, you know. But you have a mechanism that is working. And the longest time that I take with people is at the beginning. Because if any one of those things, I'll tell you why. Because it drove me crazy when I did it and I moved on, and then I saw that there were still, people would come back and I would realize that it was not 100%. And then, so self-preservation, also for me, when I understood how far it has to go, I don't think I understood, you know, with the years I understood more and more, how far it has to go so that we don't have to redo it. Because then it stops, you know, progress. Once in a while, it could be that someone will get tense, but we can in a second, you know, there's a reason in the passage or whatever. But those things have to be there completely, and then we can go on to music, you know. So that's why I sit on it.
I feel that's where. That's
what you did, yeah, because you understand what's going on, but you, on your own body, you didn't realize it's a little bit low. Yeah. Right. How's that?
Yeah, I have a tendency to push a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's habits.
Habits.
So think the form. So I'm giving you a thing that is not the truth. It's a step to what it is, to feel that the form is putting the key down. Because the finger is still a little bit too active underneath, a little preparation. Yeah. And the little preparation is a little tension. So there is a preparation that is without tension and without relaxation. So just at the moment, so yeah,
you're not doing it with the rotation.
Just think, yeah, no, a little bit from the rotation, you cannot, but you're still putting yourself down, you see? No, just and not so much from above, just let it come down. Exactly. And stop, and the sound also changes the moment you do that. So you see, how you work with gravity is another thing. You know, it's a gravity with a certain control. In other words, we have to stop. We don't just let something, you know, fall, but it has to stop in a certain place. you know, like the right height and all, but we still, without work, you can't walk without work. If you go and you lift and you go down and you lift and you go down, you can't walk. So there's steps, you know, when you lose the ability to walk, someone has to go get you through and, you know, and take steps, how to walk, which otherwise feels very natural, which is the same case here. So I want you to think now, completely, you know, the form puts the finger down. How's that? It's that simple.